All right, everybody. Before we get started with this Ed puzzle, which is a new thing this year, I want you to make sure that your Logitech pen is charged. If it's not charged, you should go ahead and do that because at the end of this video, you are going to need it. If you are using a Chromebook or another device, you do not need to have a Logitech pen. You'll be able to still do the activity. Okay, so I'm going to talk today about what's called a nonfiction narrative. We're going to be looking at what makes a nonfiction narrative. Yesterday in class, we read the story Red Roses, and that is a good example of a nonfiction narrative. So let's go ahead and get started and see what's going on with the nonfiction narrative. So what are we doing today? Well, we're going to learn to identify the elements of nonfiction narratives and identify 3 of them in the text Red Roses. Success criteria. Well, you're going to know you're successful if you can identify characterization, descriptive details, and a reflective conclusion in Red Roses. And I'm sure some of you right now are saying, I don't know what that means, but that's what we're going to learn today. So by the end of this, you will know. What is a nonfiction narrative? Well, what do you think? So in the box, it's going to ask you to type in what you think. You're going to go ahead and do that, and the video will continue. Nonfiction narratives are stories that tell about experiences. So I'm going to go back to that for just a moment. So for example, if I tell you about the time when I had to do a free throw at on my basketball team, and I wasn't very good at basketball because I'm not a good athlete, and my coach made me do that granny throw thing where you throw between your legs, and I missed, and I didn't just miss, but I threw the ball out and it just hit the wall and everybody laughed at me. Well, that's a nonfiction narrative. It's a story, but it really happened. It's an experience that I had. All right, so before we start, we're gonna do some academic vocabulary. We're gonna review each word, its root, and its mentor sentences. Mentor sentences are like sentences that give you a clue as to what it means. You're going to use that information in your own beautiful brain to predict that meaning. You're going to try to find some related words that could fit in with that might relate somehow, even if the connection is very loose. And you can also use the dictionary or other resources if you want to do that. Okay. So our first word is attribute. The root is trib, and it means to give. Your mentor sentences are, I attribute my success to hard work. People attribute this song to Bill, but actually Shanna wrote it. Now, I originally pronounced that attribute, but I was using the noun form as opposed to the verb form. Attribute, in this case, is a verb. It's something you do. So you're going to go ahead and predict the meaning. And it means to associate a thing with something or someone. So if you attribute something to someone, you're saying, I attribute my good looks to my mom. Well, your mom, you're associating with your good looks. All right, let's see if you can find some words that relate to attribute. Some words that relate are attribution or distribute. They both have trib in there. You might have different words. Okay. Our next word is gratifying. It comes from the root grat, and it means thankful or pleasing. It is an adjective. It's a describing word. It was gratifying to get an A on the test after studying all week. Getting praise from her coworkers for a job well done was gratifying to Lisa. Go ahead and predict the meaning now. So gratifying means pleasing or satisfying. So if something is gratifying, it makes you happy. It was gratifying to hear how many people liked my new glasses. Made me happy. Let's see if you can find some related words, maybe words that have a similar meaning or use that root. Like grateful or gracious, both have the root G-R-A-T in them. Next word is persistent. It is also an adjective, which means it is a describing word. It has the root sist in it, which means to stand somehow. The East Coast experienced persistent rain for days. The dogs barking from inside the house was persistent. Go ahead and predict the meaning of that word. It means continued, determined, tireless. It means you just don't give up. If you're persistent, you just keep going on like you're standing there, like that root sist, stand. If you're persistent, you just keep going. Let's see if you can find some related words, maybe words that have a similar meaning or words that use sist in them. Persist, exist, resist. Remember, you are allowed to use other sources to help you with the related words. Our next academic vocabulary word is notable. It has the root note, which means to mark. Mrs. Smith's garden was notable for its bright flowers. The book club asked a notable writer to speak to their group about his achievements. Go ahead and predict the meaning for that word. Notable means important, remarkable, or worthy of attention. See if you can find some related words, a word that has a similar meaning, or a word that uses the same root. Notation, annotate, keynote, they all use that same root, note. Inspire is our next academic vocabulary word. It has the root spear, which means to breathe, or spire, which means to breathe. This poster will inspire people to vote. If you want to inspire me, you'll have to say something positive about my work. Go ahead and predict the meaning. Inspire means to generate feelings or thoughts in someone. If you generate some feelings, you could inspire someone to feel loved. You could inspire someone to feel angry. You could inspire someone to think a certain way or do a certain thing. What are some other related words that might use the root for spire? Inspiration, spirit, respiration, all use spire. All right, so now let's get to the meat of our lesson here. Elements of the nonfiction narrative. What makes a nonfiction narrative a nonfiction narrative? All right, so first off, characterization of people who play different roles in the event. So you're not just going to say, Bob was there, Lucy was there. You're probably going to describe them, or they're going to do things, say things, think things that help you to figure out who they are. Description of the impact of the event on the different people involved. So in the story Red Roses, Derek giving her those roses had an impact on her. It had an impact on him, which means it affected them both in some way. And there's going to be a description of that. A clear sequence of events that unfold naturally. That means that, of course, it's going to have first this, then this, then this, just like a normal story does. Narrative techniques such as dialogue, description, and pacing. People are going to talk to each other. There's going to be description. Sometimes the story might move fast. Sometimes it might move slow, depending. Transitional words and phrases, meaning, letting us know how time is flowing by saying words like, after that, I thought this, or before this happened, I wondered about that. I'm trying to make this go, and it doesn't want to go, so just give me a second here. Okay. And descriptive details and powerful sensory language. You're not just reading a short summary. You're getting some powerful description so that we can really imagine what it looks like in our head. And a conclusion reflecting on the experiences in the narrative. That means in the conclusion, they're going to kind of look back at what happened, and see maybe how it changed them or what it made them think or maybe what they learned. Now, when you go back to Red Roses today, you are going to be looking for these things and you are going to be annotating them. Annotating has the word note in it, which is one of our roots from our academic vocabulary. It means to note. In our case, annotation means to mark up the text. So we're going to be marking up the text. You might want to write this down if you need to. When you find examples of characterization, things that help you to understand what a character is like, you're going to highlight it in blue. Then go down to the green one. When you find some descriptive details or sensory language that helps you to really imagine what's going on, you're going to highlight it in green. And then when you get to that conclusion that reflects on the experience where the character kind of looks back and figures out maybe what they learned or what's a little bit different, you're going to highlight that in yellow. Okay, elements of a nonfiction narrative. Characterization of people who play different roles in the event. What that means is describing characters using actions, dialogue, and effects on others. For example, Derek had an effect on people. People did not like him. Leah was an ambitious young woman who wanted to become successful. Well, that's characterization. They flat out tell you she wants to become successful. Another element of nonfiction narratives are those descriptive details and powerful sensory language. The young boy raced down the aisle of the store as if a vicious animal was chasing him. Sweat saturated the brim of an Orioles ball cap as the owner screamed, "Get back here!" So here we have some really great examples of descriptive details. He's racing down the aisle as if a vicious animal were chasing him. So we can really see that he's probably scared. He's got that sweat saturating him, and the owner is screaming. And also we know exactly what kind of cap he was wearing. It was an Orioles ball cap. So those are some good descriptive details. Conclusion, reflecting on the experience in the narrative. It's like a theme or lesson learned. What did the person in that nonfiction narrative learn from their experience? For me, I learned about that basketball story I told you earlier, I learned that maybe I am not cut out to be an athlete. An example, although learning to ride a bike was exhausting, Janae realized that patience and perseverance were essential in learning something new. Because she was very, very tired, but by the time she got through it, she was happy because she learned a new thing. All right, so what are we doing? I will learn about the elements of nonfiction narratives and identify 3 in the text, Red Roses. I can identify characterization, descriptive details, and a reflective conclusion in Red Roses. Let's go back real quick to here. Remember, you are going to be highlighting characterization in blue, descriptive details and sensory language in green, and that conclusion that reflects or that theme in yellow. Let's cruise through here. Okay, now before we end this, I want to go into the text and I want to talk to you about how to annotate. So I'm going to go to Clever, just like you would. I'm going to open it up. Takes a minute. I'm going to log in. Remember, your login is your lunch number, and the password in small letters is WCPS Kid, all one word. And when you get in, you're going to scroll down till you see Savvis Easy Bridge. I've got mine right here because I moved it to my favorites. You may have to go down here to where it says More Apps. So I'm going to open my Savvis Easy Bridge. And it might take a moment to open, or several moments. We've got to, oh, look at that. I'm going to refresh it and see what happens. Oh, see, I refreshed it and now it's there. So sometimes if you're having struggles, you can always try refreshing. Going to open up my Savvis. I'm going to go into the My Perspectives right here. Where's my little button? I got to find my... There's that. I don't want that. Well, I'll just use that. I'm going to go here to My Perspectives. open it up. Yours looks different than mine. Yours will, I think, will have the little student edition little pop up. You want to open up the ball one. Looks like that. And then you're going to go to Unit Introduction right here. And we're going to scroll down till we get to Red Roses. Okay. Now, if you were with me yesterday, you'll know that I like to hide, right here where it says hide. I like to hide my picture so that I have more reading space. Also, if you are a struggling reader, you can push this button here and somebody will read to you. All right, now, I've been charging my Apple Pencil. You guys have a Logitech pencil. And we're going to talk about how to annotate the text. So I'm going to close that. What I did is I went over here to Menu. See where my little arrow is? I went to Menu, and I clicked it. And I'm going to go to Annotations and Highlights. Oh, maybe that's not going to work. I'm going to pause this and come right back. No, I'm not. I am going to figure this out. That's what we're going to do. So here can be Annotations and Highlights. Let's see if Miss Russo can problem solve here. All right, tapping the thing. Huh. Well, I am not doing this whole video over again, so I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to go to Miss James, and you're going to come with me. So Miss James is going to make an easy little quick appearance on my video because I thought I knew how to do this, but apparently I am wrong. And so we're going to go visit her. Miss James, I'm currently recording, but I don't want to redo my whole recording.
Not a problem.
I can't seem to get into the annotations, and I was hoping you could help me.
Of course I can help you.
I've got this up, and I tried using the menu, but that's what I get.
Did you already save any annotations?
No.
So may I borrow your pen?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is not awkward at all.
There we go.
Ah, okay.
So if you just press and hold, and then you can
Okay.
drag, so on and so forth.
Okay. That's wonderful, Miss James. Thank you.
You're welcome, Miss Russo.
Everybody type thank you to Miss James. All right, so we're going to go back to my room, guys, and we're going to figure this out. See, even teachers have struggles, and we have to problem solve. And so that's what we did. Okay, here we go. So, we are looking for characterization in blue. We're looking for descriptive details in green. And we're looking for the conclusion in yellow. All right, so it says, when I was in middle school, what I wanted most was to fit in. Well, right away, that tells me something about my narrator. It says that she wants to fit in. So I'll tap that, and I'm going to highlight that in blue. And let's see, highlight. Let's see. Oops. All right, so I think I did this. Let me try highlighting more. Okay. So it can be kind of tough to get it to highlight. You can use these little blue bars. You can also use your finger. All right. Now, when I do an annotation, it's not enough to just highlight. Then I want you to type. So I tap the little annotation box. And you might say something like, most middle school kids want this. Or maybe you don't want that, and you would put, I don't want to fit in. Oh, and I'm supposed to make it blue. So there we go. Now, this is very important. You have to hit save. If you don't hit save, your annotation won't stay. Okay. Now I tap my screen, or I tap my X, and it's gone. Okay. That's all anybody wants in middle school. In middle school, you're suspicious of anyone who stands out for any reason. Derek stood out. We all avoided him. All right, so I'm going to press on Derek here. And I'm going to, no, Derek, I'm going to highlight stood out. Okay, and I don't want it yellow, I want it blue, so I'm going to tap it blue. And then I'm going to tap on the annotation. I'm going to type in, he was unusual for some reason. And I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to X out and I'm going to keep going. Now I'm going to look for a descriptive, my next one that I'm looking for is a descriptive detail. Let's see if I can get this to X out. Because I want to X out. Technology is fun. I would keep on reading. Why is this next? Nope, that's not it. All right, so it's still there. Hang on, guys. Okay. Oh, okay. Now, I want you to annotate the whole text, but I just wanted to give you an example of a really good descriptive detail. He's got red, he comes in with a dozen red roses, long-stemmed and fluted wrapper with a note tucked inside. And it also says he strode up to me. Striding is a kind of walking that's like with purpose. So I'm going to highlight that first. Strode up to me. And I just hold my pencil down till that comes up. And I'm going to drag this way. And that is a descriptive detail. And I'm going to type in, sometimes I just tap it with my finger. Yeah, tap with your finger. I'm going to type in, this shows how he is purposefully walking, right? And then we're going to hit save because we have to save it. And then tap it away. And it's, there we go. And then I would probably also highlight where they talk about the red roses and the fluted paper because that's a good detail that I can imagine in my head. So, sorry for having Miss James help me figure it out, but I think it's important that kids realize that teachers don't know everything and we're not afraid to ask for help. You guys don't know everything. You should definitely not be afraid to ask for help. Okay, so now I'm going to let you go and you are going to highlight, you're going to go back to the story of Red Roses and you are going to be highlighting blue for characterization, green for details, and yellow for that reflection piece at the end, that little theme. I think that you should have at least 6 annotations, at least 6. All right. Have a great day, everybody.